Hello. So, today, what I'm going to talk about is gender and how that is sort of a religious thing, but not just gender. Almost all of our society is kind of religious. And I use that word somewhat loosely, but also not. It's not a religion in the sense of worshiping a god or something like that, but more like uh, you might think of like a new age type of thinking, like sort of the idea that um, I don't know, people go about their lives believing in sort of deluded ideas, a whole framework of deluded ideas, and they're kind of going about this without questioning what's happening. Um, I think gender is an easy example of this. So with gender, what happens is that um, so I don't know. You'll see if we look at something like transgender. That's where a lot of people will sort of start to accuse people of having like a deluded or religious like framework. But I think the same sort of thing actually applies to uh, cisgendered people. I think that people who are, let's say, male go about their lives believing this idea that they are male and believing that male means something, that and it's something related to their biology, which the things that they subscribe to aren't really. Um, in a superficial sense, they're enforced to be correlated. So, like, people will talk about males as having, like, an inherently biologically increased inclination towards something like violence or um, kind of like maybe toughness or whatever else, or risk taking. And in reality, that might be the case. There might be a slight tendency to be more like that, but it's also ignoring the fact that we are trained to be that way. And people talk about gender as a social construct in that way. Like, that's basically what people are talking about. And the thing is, if I were to deviate from the expectations imposed on me, I will be punished. So it's almost like gender is almost enforced by violence or harm or fear. If I were to not be masculine enough, I might be bullied or um, all kinds of things. And I think that's where the religion aspect I'm talking about kind of comes out. So, besides gender, um, like let's say this, let's say I start crying intensely in the middle of the street, and people come up and they try to like ask what's going on, what's wrong, and I refuse to answer, and instead I sit there persistently crying, and a crowd gathers around me. I mean, this might not be realistic, but let's just go with it. Um, like I'm sure there's some action where a crowd would start to gather around me. I think a lot of people would be scared actually if I were breaking norms hard enough. And let's say I continue. Let's say I continue until violence enforcement comes in. That's what we'll call the police. They carry weapons and they're like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to enact violence on you. And I keep continuing to do it. I don't let the fear of violence affect me. And then they surround me they decide they're going to put me in jail or something because they think I'm on a bunch of drugs and they think I'm drunk or whatever. And I refuse to cooperate with the officers, and it just continues. And all I'm doing that's strange as crying or something like that. Crying might not be the best example, but something that's sort of innocuous, like that's obviously unharmful, but people are so afraid that it's weird that they will, basically, it'll cause them to like unravel and freak out. And I don't know. I think that's like you're breaking the rules of this kind of unspoken religion. Like, we don't think of it as being enforced, but we're all enforcing it, and we're all falling in line with it. We don't go outside of what's allowed. And I think with gender, that's sort of the case. That's kind of, on some level, that's what's happening. Like, people, every time I talk to people about this, they talk like, well, no, I don't do this. I don't follow gender norms. And they seem to clearly do that, though. Yeah. I don't know. I think so much of life is just purely religious. Like, we're not, I'm not even sure what capacity for discovering truth that we have at all. We kind of, like, we look at like things like physics, and maybe we're getting kind of close, but then we look at, like, the majority of our lives is not like, it's not like I wake up and go like talk to, it's not like I like call, like, let's say my dad, and then like I'm like, I was thinking about physics, and like, that's such not a part of my life. And for some it might be, but I think that's really extensively rare. And most of our lives is like these weird political religions, and religions about, or delusions about, what our friends think, what our coworkers think, what everyone around us thinks. Like, we think we're predicting their behavior. In some weird ways, I think that is how we enforce their behaviors too. There's an incentive for them to behave as expected. Like, if I were to start crying, that's unexpected, right? And there's other reasons why that would be breaking rules. So that might not be the best example. But, like, if you think of the idea of a persona is like kind of engineering yourself to fit a stereotype, which is essentially just predictions. It's, you're fitting a character that someone would have already memorized and feel comfortable with, so that they can feel safe, because they're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid that if you aren't following the norms and the rules that are enforced, that something's wrong with you and you're like schizophrenic or something, or you're a psychopath. And yeah, people will really freak out if you don't do that. And like, even the ways I talk right now, I don't think that this intonation that I'm controlling my voice with, I don't think that's like, I don't think I'm born with that. I think that's like a cultural effect. It's like some set of rules of how I'm supposed to modulate my voice so that you can feel comfortable right now. I might like, maybe I could just be like, what if I talked like this? Then it would be really weird. And I just keep talking like that, and then like people would probably think I have like some mental disorder, right? Like, if I only talked like that and there was no explanation, like, I'm not joking, I'm not doing like whatever, people would think I was like, just like, my brain's broken, and they would get like into this uncanny valley type of feeling or situation, and like, they'd probably watch out of like some sixth sense of like interest, right? Like, trying, like, they'd be desperate to figure out, what am I doing? And so I suppose, like, if I really wanted to just go viral on YouTube, I could lie to everyone about, I could create a persona that they don't recognize, and they'd be endlessly curious to like figure out what's going on here, and they would try to form a stereotype in their mind. They would try to like analyze me and understand me and uh, soothe their conflict with reality. Like, I've created a cognitive dissonance. I've presented them with a character that doesn't fit their expectations, and now they're unsettled. And I think the fear of becoming that is extremely high. I think people who are weird get bullied. Um, like, if you acted weird enough on the streets, you'll probably get the cops called on you, even if you're not being harmful. Like, recently, I saw a guy, he was like dancing. He's on the streets and he's dancing, and I was like, is that guy on meth or something? Like, he looks like he just won the lottery. Like, maybe that's okay. Like, should I judge them differently than a person that won the lottery? Like, is for some reason meth not okay, but the lottery is okay? And like, I kept thinking like how do I resolve this? Like, what do I do? Like, even that, it captured my attention. Like, the person just walking to the crosswalk and following the rules, I ignore them. It's like they don't exist. And then this guy dancing, I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? Like, am I gonna die? Is this guy gonna pull out a gun? Like, is he just gonna be like, da, 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 and then he pulls out like a fucking gun and he's like, I'm on meth, you fucker, and then like he just goes out and like kills me, right? And I don't know. Like, I don't actually think that. I don't think. I think there's the fear of killing people and just submitting the rest of your life to uh, prison keepers or whatever. Like, just becoming the slave of prison guards. I think that's scary enough that even people who seem really deranged, they're not going to do that. But I do think the dancing, I think he's signaling something. I think people purposely break the norms so that, like, that can be a cry for help. That can be like, I don't know, like, I think homeless people do this a lot. I think they'll express like extreme rage and like shout to the sky and like seem like they're going to enact violence on you, but then they never will. And they'll like try to intimidate you. They'll like throw stuff at the ground, but they won't throw it at a person usually. And it's because they don't want to hurt people. They're sad, they're in pain, and they're like, look how far life has taken me. Like, that's what they're saying. They're implicitly saying that to you. They're trying to tell you like everything is so fucked that I'm not even following the rules. Like, and like, I think some people try to act like they're schizophrenic in a way too. Some are, but like, maybe, who knows, I don't know. But probably, yeah. I mean, I've experienced psychosis myself, so it's not like but I think a lot of people are acting like, I think it's like, even the people that start to experience psychotic symptoms, I think it's like sometimes they're experiencing it because of people around them causing them enough distress. Like, they're being abused, and that causes them to like reach a breaking point. And then now they're like, well, look what you did. And like, instead of saying that, because that would seem kind of like fucked up in a way, they'll be like, I don't know, like, oh my god, are the cops here? Like, I don't know, like, I don't know what they'll do, but they'll like, I think they'll try to express it. Like, if someone's paranoid and they know that their paranoia is because of the stress of the abuse you've inflicted on them, I think they'll like purposely amplify how crazy they seem, so that you'll see and be like feeling guilty and stuff, you know. Um, and it depends. Like, someone has to believe that that's how it works first. They have to believe that you can be driven crazy by someone else, that you can be broken. Um, and that's a religion. I think a lot of psychiatry is a religion. Like, there's incentives to be labeled as depressed. Like, on some level, that meme and stereotype, it helps people understand that you're suffering. Like, you can be depressed and smile, but then you're kind of betraying yourself, right? Like, you're like, I'm suffering, and I'm not even gonna take care of myself enough, in the sense of like, I'm not even going to ask you to help me right now because I'm just going to deprive myself of that. Or I feel such a burden that I'm not going to inflict that onto you. So I'm going to smile and be your emotional slave and just, like, look, I'm fine. Doesn't that make you feel better? Like, it's like that kind of. But then, like, there's other stereotypes, like in our culture, we've kind of talked about, like, I don't know, there's like a lot of things. Like, you could be in pain, and the way you express it to your friends is by rejecting their offer to hang out or something. I don't know. And I don't know, probably a lot of depression is like centered around being parented in a way that tells you you're not allowed to ask for help, and that you needing to be helped is a burden, which in a lot of cases maybe it can be. Um, but sometimes that's the only way forward too. And this is going to be a whole ramble. I don't even know what we're doing here anymore. I'm just giving you like a general perspective of random bullshit now. Um, it's a rant. When I say it's a rant, that makes me want to stop. Like, I'm like thinking, like, do people hate rants? Like, people talk about hating rants, right? They're like, you're supposed to be focused. I don't want to like watch your thing and like lose track of my like whatever. But it's like people watch things that are like just arbitrary bullshit all the time. So it's like, really, what do people really care? Like, I feel like there's like a meta game where like people might say like if someone says ranting is bad, other people are like, oh, I guess that's true. And then they like look at people and they're like, are they breaking the rule that other guy just said? And then they'll start enforcing it. There'll be a religion against ranting. And now some of you are part of that religion. And that's how we tie it back in. Like, why does it matter? Are you afraid that, like, say in the beginning of the video, like I said something and you're like, that's interesting, I never thought of that. And then like, now I said something else, and it's like too tangential, and you're like, oh god, I'm gonna forget what he said at the beginning. That's why this is bad. I'll forget. But it's like, I don't think that's really how it's working. I mean, you're gonna forget a lot of what I said in the video. But some of it might touch you in a certain way that it'll reflect on your own life and make you start ruminating day after day, thinking like, what the fuck is my life? Like, you'll like start looking at your interactions with your friends and you're like, they're enforcing this religion on me, what the hell? And yeah, and maybe I'm enforcing a religion on you right now. What kind of religions am I enforcing on you? You need to tell me. You need to tell me in the comments. I need to become self-aware, and you, the audience, will become a way for me to become self-aware. You become an extension of my own mind. You are like a calculator of my subconscious. It's like the audience is a machine that's created by social mimetic technology, and now you're going to perform this action. I enter a voice command into the audience, and then you will feedback to me in the comments telling me who I really am, or who you think I am, and then I might start believing that religiously, and I might start behaving more like that or less like that, and there'll be some kind of ridiculous narrative about who my true self is or whatever else. I don't know, I think people lie about, or they lie to themselves about who they are. Let me think of a better way to say that. Like, I don't think people are really anybody. Like, they want to be somebody because that's comforting. They want to know where their life is going. They want to know how the other people around them will accept them. They'll resonate with different characters in TV or archetypes or personality types, because that's how they will become loved. And if they don't resonate with that enough, they'll be a freak. They'll be breaking the rules. They'll, like, some amount of the personalities, like the intonation, like how I talk. If I just start talking like this, then it will get weird. I mean, that's like a song, though. I mean, that's still a little bit coherent. But if, I don't know, you can imagine, right? If I said something in a weird enough tone, like if I was like screaming, let's just say I say that's coherent, but that's freaky. If I'm just like really angry and I'm saying normal things, like I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, and I just start like wailing and crying, right? Like, I'm not even willing to act. I'm not even willing to engage with some fake, like, even though I'm telling you I could act, I'm afraid to even do that. I'm scared of how cringy and weird that might be. So we resonate with all these characters, and we tell ourselves, this is Gage, right? My name is Gage. Nice to meet you, audience. That's where the video starts. Yeah, like, we name ourselves with these fake names. We imagine that that's actually something real. We use that mimetic, delusional thing to, like, make life easier for ourselves. Then we create, like, this whole system of, like, characters, and it's like our life is like a fictional story that we build this character of ourselves, and we resonate it with famous people, famous characters, archetypes, so that other people will be like, oh, that reminds me of that archetype. And then we'll imitate the intonation of those people to prove that we are, I don't know, like, worthy of being loved or something. Like, and then we'll try to trick ourselves into believing that that's how we really are. That deep down we are, like, actually resonating with this character, this fake, made-up character that's, I don't know. And probably we're really afraid of, like, I don't know, people get really distressed, like, trying to find themselves on, like, some journey. I think other people just kind of accept, or they just, like, perpetually lie. Like, there's people that they're constantly living in their persona, right? Like, different personas for different people. It's like you're filtering out behaviors. You're, like, trying to cater to their persona. Like, people prescribe to, or subscribe to, like, a whole culture of personas. Like, if you're in the left political group, you might engage in, like, canceling and signaling of your values, and you might not, I think a lot of the people don't even care that much. Like, but then, in order to still pledge allegiance to your group, you have to, if you don't signal, it's like say during the whole Roe versus Wade thing, I heard about, like if you're just silent about that, you're kind of signaling that you don't care enough. So it's like you actually are having, like, this persona, even if you're not trying. You're, like, signaling to some kind of audience that you didn't think it was worthwhile to bring it up. And now you've made a statement. By doing nothing, you made a statement, and you pledged allegiance to the enemy. And so, like, even if you don't care that much, you care about being rejected from your group. You don't want your life to, like, fall apart and have, like, no friends, and, like, you get outcast and you're, like, the heretic, right? The heretic of the religion. And, yeah. You know, going back to the gender thing, the thing that really got me started on that, and I'll probably make a video about this, I didn't really have a dad, and, you know, that made me think I'm almost raised as a girl. Not in the sense that I was labeled or I didn't have an identity of a girl imposed onto me. But I think my mother doesn't know what it's like to subjectively be a man. Her idea of a man is like this superficial persona archetype thing. And so it's kind of like flawed. Um, it's the same as if, like, I don't know, it's like a stereotype, basically. Um, and it's also filtered through like gender norms and ideals. Whereas a man is like a man. If I had a father, I imagine they would be held to certain standards based on being a man. But then we'd have like these private conversations, like, you know, I don't know. I've heard people say things like being a man sucks, and or that it's hard. Actually, is what they said, because like you're held to a certain standard and you have to take certain kinds of responsibilities. And just a tangent right there. No, it's not actually hard to be a man. It's hard that people with a certain sex have man, this fake imaginary, fake idea imposed onto them. And it's hard because that's not in alignment with your actual sex. That's what's really happening. Like men, like the higher suicide rate among men, let's assuming that that's because of hardships of being a man, um, it's because you're not in alignment with your actual gender. It's because you're not a man. A man. That's what's really happening. People are killing themselves because they have this fake gender that doesn't exist imposed onto them and they can't handle it. It's fake. But, anyways, that tangent aside, I was kind of raised as a girl in the sense that I think it's a really subtle thing. There's certain social norms that are like occurring, like there's things that women are allowed to do that are permitted by society, and things that men are allowed to do that are permitted by society. And a lot of it's really subtle. Like my mom was definitely sort of like a feminist, but still she was dependent on guys. Um, she learned how to get by kind of manipulating people that have power and to give it to her. Um, Whereas, like, I think men would have to acquire power in a different way and provide more for other people. Uh, and when I say a man would have to do that or a woman would have to do that, that's all fake. That's all fucking religion. That's not really have to do. That doesn't have to do with sex. Um, but there are bases in sex and implications of things like if a woman gets pregnant, obviously that's like something that a man wouldn't deal with, and that creates like certain problems, and like a man would have to do things to help a woman in that scenario. So there are things like that. But then I think it gets like normalized and overgeneralized. Like you have to take care of a woman no matter what in all circumstances, and like it's like not nuanced enough. It's like not contextual. And I think it needs to be way more like consequentialist in a sense. Like you need to think case by case. There's no like I'm really not a fan of heuristics that much. Um, but anyways, like there's certain things imposed on me, uh, and a lack of man-like things were imposed on me, except through the lens of like some fake stereotype or ideal, or like what a woman thinks a man should be like. Um, and I don't know. I I thought about whether this would. It seems like I don't really care about gender. I don't like. If you ask me if I'm like if like I don't know, if you think of like trans stuff and like am I internally do I assign myself as man or woman? I kind of don't care. I think, like as I've been saying, I think that's all fake. Like, I'm biologically male, but I also do things that I think I behave in female ways in certain contexts. Um, and I don't care about aligning with those things, except for, like, obviously there's a lot of incentives to do that. Like, if I wear makeup, I might get bullied. Um, or whatever else. Like, if I do anything that's not in alignment with what people want from me, then I will be attacked as a heretic or whatever. And I kept wondering, like, what if I rationalize this as, like, what if, like, my lack of father and my lack of understanding the depths of what it's like to be a man, and understanding more of what it's like to be a woman on some level, what if that would have made me question whether I am a woman inside or something? And so, like, in a different universe, maybe I would have been, like, trans or something. And I've kind of, like, fantasized about that and whatever, but I don't care enough. Like, I think it would be an epic to be, like, a hot girl, right? But I think that's not that weird of a thing to say. I think a lot of men would do that, but I don't really care. Like, I don't want to transition. I wouldn't want to, like, surgically hack myself or something. Like, I don't even know if I'd want to have female roles imposed onto me even. But I don't know. So it's all just kind of religion. And I don't know what we should do about that. Be aware of it. Actually extending on that last idea, no, I'll save this for a different video. That I think I'm gonna probably end it here. I'm kind of just testing out OBS. And I kind of want to make a video because I haven't done that yet. This isn't that good of a video. The quality of it's kind of weird. And, I don't know. I want to see if it worked. In the future, I'm gonna, like, decorate my channel a lot more. It's not gonna be like this. I basically wanted to see if, just if this would work. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm gonna edit here. If you guys sign up to Patreon, I will better be able to afford equipment and high quality things and invest my time in actually making what you want. But you don't know what you want yet. I'm going to show you what you want. You're going to see. Yeah. I am using my iPhone as a camera. It's like a wireless camera. And it's a little weird. Like, I want better stuff. I want, like, a green screen or something. Yeah. I'll start doing this stuff live also once I got it, like, figured out. So I guess that's it for today. I'll leave some links in the description, like my website. My website's more, people read that more. And it's more clean and nice and whatever. Also, I'm guessing everyone clicked away at this point, but I might as well get into it. I am at the end of writing a book. a sci-fi book, and I'm super in love with the story and everything. Um, the feeling of writing it is kind of like playing through a game. It's like a choose your own adventure game or something. I don't know. I don't even play those type of games, to be honest, but I'm creating like a whole thing. Like I sit there and like kind of daydream about what's gonna happen, and yeah, it's really interesting. So if you guys, I don't know, I recommend it. Try it. Um, and the book is gonna go into all kinds of philosophical, scientific type of things. It's kind of a mix of a lot of ideas I've covered before. It gets into the idea of, does truth even exist? What does it mean? Kind of a lot of ideas I've explored here, except way more elaborated, and I don't know, I don't think I did the best job in this video. Um, Partly because I'm not in the best state of mind. I never consume alcohol, but I did last night. Like, barely at all, but still. I can tell that I'm stupid right now. Um, but I just want to get this out. Um, yeah. Hmm. It's so uncomfortable seeing myself on the screen. It's disturbing. Um, hmm. Okay. I'm just gonna stop now because, yeah, we're not going anywhere, I guess. Uh, Maybe I'll leave the book in the description as well, if you want to help me by proofreading it or whatever. It's kind of emotional, romantic, sexual. Um, it's rated R, so keep that in mind. It's pretty trippy, kind of like attempts to make philosophical situations or ideas emotional rather than just logical or whatever. Like, rather than just matter of fact, it's like traumatic and stuff, or beautiful and sexy and weird, and yeah, kind of tries to emotionalize a lot of interesting ideas rather than, I don't know, a lot of sci-fi feels like dead sometimes, so like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of inspired by Xenoblade. I really like Xenoblade, especially the second game. It's very emotional. The first game is too, but it's the characters don't feel as alive. Okay, I'm gonna stop it now because this is long.